shit on our children. If you don't see it, you gon' hear it. Ain't no black and white, no Michael just can't look inside the mirror without them pushing us with fears of this virus in here. Vaccinations, they gon' force if you don't get it, then you a traitor. If speak against abortion, they gon' hang you now later. First they say that it's their body, it's their choice, they gon' leave make it, but don't consider that's a person growing inside the mirror. What about rape? Now I can't justify and say that that's okay. But if you kill that baby, gon' be against you on your judgment day. But we don't believe in God anyway, so we gon' follow Satan. We say that we Christian, but that Bible we stay away from. See people kill their mother, brothers, sisters off for play fun what they done. Then get on social media like they ain't do nothing. They shoot out people dead from the leg up. This ain't no N1. We follow every God, moon, and stars except for D1. I hired 3 and shy crazy, but we now we Israelites when Jesus was white. My people really didn't put up a fight, but now we know we black. My people seem to can't accept the fact. And why is that? We program to hate ourselves from front to back. It's wicked, ain't it? And my people don't wanna change it. We'd rather stay the same and rather pain and not repent. We tan it like that water and flint, man, this is it. Cause the only way we prosper is if we admit that we sin. Come back to the God, our Bible, and be his kids and his disciples. But we were raised to party, be with each other and fornicate. Get drunk and holler every day from straight to gate and get it straight. No standards, we gon' test the cake. And they ain't talking in the man. Love, this world so wicked.
Good morning, Facebook Live. Good morning, Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning. YouTube with Orlando, keeping it simple. Good morning. I hope everyone has had a blessed week. I hope the Most High has truly blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and joy. I hope the Most High really have truly blessed your offsprings with wisdom and knowledge and understanding. I hope the Most High really truly have blessed you with protection, love, and kindness. I really do. Pray that He has really truly blessed you over and abundantly with all the things that your heart desire. I hope He truly have. I really can't say I know how today gonna go because I really don't know. Excuse me. I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well with the teachings today. Because I don't know, and I'm gonna do the best that I can do. So much stuff has been going on that I really don't know how it's going to go. Just pray for me this morning. That's what I asked you to do. Pray for me this morning. You know, just hope everything goes well. My week, I don't really know how it's been. It's been okay. I know that what I'm seeing on TV is very hardening. It's very hardening. And what the Most High is showing me today is, I want us to look at the text today from a holistic point of view, not just from a biblical text, but from our reality. And who we call the Karens, and when we look at the police officers, even in the people in our lives and even our lives. You know, government, everything, everyone. I want us to be able to look at it from that viewpoint because it's very relevant. Um, it's very relevant today, and because I want us to look at the whole scenario of what's going on and how it's taking place and what we see, even why you do the things that you do. I want you to look at it from that holistic point of view. What motivates you? What drives you to be and do what you do? One of the parts about my life is that in order for me to teach the lessons that I have to teach, I have to experience them. I have to go through the experiences that I'm supposed to teach on because it's relevant to today's society, but it's also relevant at this moment, and it gives me an understanding from an emotional viewpoint and a physical viewpoint on me teaching the lessons that I teach. But let us go ahead and get started this morning. Exodus chapter 3. No. Exodus chapter 20. Verses 1 through 17. Exodus 21 through 17. And it reads, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And thou shalt have no other Els before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, that is in the water under the earth. And thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy works, but in the seventh day is the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any works, thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy fathers and thy mothers, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservants, nor his maidservants, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So let us pray. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us for our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to the kingdom, power to the glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Amen, amen, amen. So yes, good morning, good morning. Breaking Stronghold Ministries. Good morning, Facebook Live. Good morning, YouTube. Orlando, keeping it simple. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me ask you all a question. How would you all feel and what would you all do if the government didn't come to a resolution on the debt ceiling. What would you all do and how would you feel if the United States government did not come to a resolution on the debt ceiling? They said that about 80 million people would lose their jobs. How would you function if the United States did not raise the debt ceiling? Because I want us to be able to understand something. Everything is working right now like on a timeline or a time clock, right? It's funny that in April 1st, they started the Fed coin. They said the Fed now coin is in process of starting to be in use. That means that they're starting the process to eliminate the cash flow, the money cash flow of fiat currency. They're starting to eliminate the process of fiat currency throughout the United States and globally as a dominant currency. So that happened April the 1st. Now, June 1st is the deadline where the United States will not have any more money in the banks to be able to pay their bills. Right a month right before the digital Fed coin actually takes place. The Fed now coin actually hits our society, or they interacted with every bank in America, with every system in America on July the 1st. But it's so funny that we will run out of money on June 1st, a month before the deadline of the Fed coin now hitting the country. How would you feel if they did not raise the debt ceiling and almost 80 million people was not able to have a job and was not able to function as normal because the government did not raise the debt ceiling? How do you feel about, and I'm just going over a little bit of, I'm going on a little bit of, I'm going over a little bit on currencies, the news currencies. What's going on in the news. How do you feel about down there in Florida? They're not teaching black Americans history. They also just signed something in Florida where any migrants that do not have any documentation will be incarcerated. So that's why the Latino community is moving out of Florida and moving out of the construction sites because they can be incarcerated because they have no documentation. How you feel about that? It's a lot going on in our society today. How you feel about grocery prices are steadily increasing? I want you to think about that during the times that we're in. Elon Musk just put out an article where he will be able to have robots who will be able to come upon menstrual cycles, and man will be able to marry a robot in the latter part of this year. How do you feel about that? That means that right now, Elon Musk and the AI and the technologies, they are building our robots where they can be able to have a relationship. A robot can have a relationship with a man and not human to human anymore. if a male do not want to have a human woman as a wife, he can go get a robot to be able to have as his wife. How do you all feel about that? It's a lot going on in the world today. And if we don't get a grasp of it, if we don't get a hold of it, we're gonna lose everything about it. You know, every time I turn around and look at something on YouTube or Facebook, it's somebody calling the police on a black man because they said they was threatened for their life. Just because they might have walked by them or whatever the case may be. Black men's lives are in danger here in America. Black men's lives are in danger here in America and nobody's doing anything about it. Black men are not even respecting their black men when it comes. We're not even doing right by our own brothers when it come down to respect. So we're not just getting killed from other nationalities. We're not just being disrespected by in our own home. We're being disrespected by everybody around us. And we're doing it to ourselves too. How you feel about that? And I'm just throwing that out because I think we need to really understand what's actually truly happening in the world today. We have so much stuff going on that we are so distracted. We can't even pay attention to one thing because it's like you're sitting in a boat that has 30 holes in it. And you're trying to figure out which hole to fill so that you won't sink when you got 30. Which one is most important? But I just wanted to throw that out to you this morning before I got started because it's a lot going on. And June 3rd is when the BRICS meet. And we don't know what's going to happen on June 3rd when the BRICS currency hit the market. When June 3rd hit and the BRICS currency hit the market, we don't know how it's going to affect the United States. That's at the same time the United States is supposed to raise its debt ceiling. Let's see what they're going to do. That's less than 2 weeks. But let us turn to Exodus chapter 1. It's 1 through 22, but I'm gonna deal with the latter part of Exodus chapter 1 verses Exodus chapter 1 verses 1 through 22. But I'm basically gonna start with I go with verse 5. But the key verse is gonna be verse 10. Key verse is verse 10. This is a very familiar passage to a lot of people who have listened to me over the time. Very familiar passage. It's very understandable. But I'm dealing with something else. Okay? It says, "Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falling out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. So get them up out of the land." Understand that and what I just said to you about what's going on in Florida. What happened in the last couple of years. What's going on with the depopulation, Agenda 21, and Agenda 30. Let's understand what Bill Gates' whole agenda is about on the earth. Let's understand that. If you don't know about Agenda 21, look it up. If you don't know about Agenda 30, look it up. If you don't know the history of Bill Gates, look him up. They call it the Eugenics Program. Look it up. He got that from his father from a long time ago. Look this stuff up. Okay? Let me read it over in verse 10. It says, "Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they're falling out any war, they join also to our enemies, and fight against us. So get them up out of the land." And the title today is Facts Over Feelings. The title today is Facts Over Feelings. And the two words I have for you today is assume. Assume is the supposition to suppose, to take for granted without proof as a base of argument. A basis of argument. An assumption is to take for granted without proof as the basis of argument. Assume means to think about something or think something is true without proof. Proof is facts. Assume means to think about it as if it is facts when you don't have no evidence. Okay, another word is very familiar. Fear is an expectation of danger or evil. Okay, fear is an emotional word. Assumption is a thought process. Okay, let me do something real fast before we get started. Okay. How does fear affects a person's behavior? Fear can interrupt processes in our brain that allows us to regulate emotions, read non-verbal clues, and other information presented to us. Okay, it says reflect before acting and act ethically. This impacts our thinking and decision making in negative ways. So what it's saying is fear impacts our thinking and decision making in negative ways, leaving us susceptible to intense emotion and impulsive reactions. What it's basically saying is when you have fear, you don't think correctly. When you have fear, you don't act the way you're supposed to act. When you have fear, you're going to do things that you're not even supposed to do. Okay? Then it says, why is fear so powerful? I just looked these up on the internet. It is programmed into our nervous system and works like an instance. From the time we're infants, we are equipped with the survival instincts necessary to respond with fear when we see danger or feel unsafe. Understanding that fear is an expectation is not reality. Fear helps protect us. It makes us alert to danger and prepares us to deal with it. Because fear may not necessarily be true. How does fear affect us spiritually? Unhealthy fear will cause you to stop advancing in areas of growth and development and keep you from fulfilling the plans of El for your life. Unhealthy fear will cause you to doubt and keep you from growing spiritually mature in Christ. Fear weakens the immune system and causes cardio damage, gastrointestinal problems such as irritable bowel syndromes. So, when we're looking at the word fear and assume is an assumption. Assume is thinking about something that may or may not be true. It is you thinking about it as if it's facts when you don't have no facts. Okay? So when you don't have no facts on something, it's going to cause you to have a certain emotion. And most of the times those emotions are going to be fear. So fear messes with the person from all aspects, from a physical to a spiritual dynamic. Okay? So when you understanding that if you don't have facts about something and you are assuming or you have assumptions about something, your judgment can be totally incorrect. Okay? So now when we look at let's go to verse 7 in Exodus chapter 1. Because Pharaoh, he's operating off some portions of facts, but it's not a complete portions of facts. He's not completely incorrect, but he's not completely wrong. Because he's telling the truth in some aspects of his situation. Okay? But you cannot make a decision based off half-truth. You got to make a decision based off the whole reality of your situation. Because that's why I say facts over your feelings, over feelings. Because if you don't have the whole facts, you can assume whatever you want to assume and make a bad choice. Okay, in verse 7 it says, "And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed greatly mighty, and the land was filled with them." Those are facts. If you had to pull up, if they had the database in the system back in the days, those were facts that was given about the children of Israel in Egypt at the time. Pharaoh knew his situation with the people of Israel. Pharaoh knew what was going on. He knew all the dynamics. He knew where they was, how many it was, what they was doing, how they was doing it. He knew those basic facts. That's something he could ride on and say, this is what I truly, surely know. So that would give him confidence if he had to make a decision based off those facts. He could make a decision that could be able to benefit Egypt at the time. And see, a lot of us make decisions based off half-truths. Some of us make decisions based off emotions. Because I made bad decisions in the last 2 years off emotions. Because we also got to realize how the United States function in reality, in this world today we live in, is they mess with your emotions. They cause you to assume fear that's going to come upon your life, or danger is going to come upon your life. So they cause you to make decisions based off an assumption and not necessarily facts. Because I was talking to this guy this weekend, he said, I made decisions based off what the news said and not what was actually true for me. So when I was listening to what the news was saying, I assumed that I would go through the same thing. So fear came upon me to make decisions that I never should have made. I have made those decisions because the simple fact is I'm listening to the news and reading articles, even though I know that they're trying to take us into the fourth industrial age where AI runs the whole world. I made decisions based off of an assumption and based off of fear. So when I made those assumptions, when I made those decisions based off an assumption and fear, it made me make bad decisions. And I'm in a lot of situations because of that. I got to figure this out because of what I did. And I can't blame nobody else. I'm going to say something to you. You are where you are because of the decisions you made, not because of what somebody else made. Wherever you are in your life today, you're there because of what you made, because of the decisions you made, not because of what somebody else made. Because you had an option to say, no, I'm not going to be a part of it. That's the choice that you made. You could have made and said, no, I'm not going to be a part of it. But because you made the decision to whatever it is, you where you are because of what you did, not because of nobody else. So you can't blame somebody else for where you are. You got to blame yourself. So now, verse 7 is all about facts. Those are facts. Those are written documents. Those are what it is. So when you have your facts about something, you can make a proper decision about something because it's all written in front of you. Okay, and it says now in verse 8, it says, now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we, which are facts. That means that they were stronger than them. They had the abilities to do things that the Egyptians was not able to do. Okay, so let me read something real fast. No, I'm going to get to it in a second. I'm going to get to it. I'll get to it. Okay. Listen to this. This came out of the book of Jasher, chapter 54, verse 37. And this is when Joseph's brother was coming to Joseph to ask for money, right? And Joseph was messing with them because he wanted to see his brother Benjamin, and he tricked them. But Joseph knew who they were, but they didn't know who Joseph were. And Judah, the fourth oldest brother in the tribe of Israel, he was talking to Joseph, and this is what he told his other brothers about Egypt. And he went and numbered all the streets of Egypt, and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Judah, Naphtali, okay, let me go back to verse 36. And Naphtali went as Judah had commanded him, because they was getting ready to destroy Egypt. The 12 brothers of Israel was going to destroy Egypt. Okay, because that's how strong and powerful they were. And it says that Naphtali was as Judah had commanded him, went as Judah had commanded him. For Naphtali was light-footed as, listen to that, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags. And he would go upon the ears of corn, and they would not break under him. Meaning that he can walk on the ears of corn so fast that he will not even damage the corn or the stalks. That's how fast he could run. That's how swift he could run. Then it says, he went and numbered all the streets of Egypt and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Judah. And Judah said unto his brethren, hasten you, and put every man his sword upon his loins, and we will come over Egypt and smite them all, and kill them all, and let not a remnant remain. And Judah said, behold, I will destroy 3 streets with my strength, and you shall destroy, and you shall each destroy one street. And when Judah was speaking these things, behold, the inhabitants of Egypt and all the mighty men came towards them with all sorts of musical instruments and with loud shoutings. And their numbers was 5,000 cavalry, 10,000 infantry, and 400 men who fought without swords or spears, only with hand and strength. So what it's saying is, 12 men, the 12 men of Israel could have killed over 10,000 people. So when Pharaoh said that they are mightier than strength than us, yes, the children of Israel was more powerful than the people of Israel. The children of Israel was more powerful than the people in Egypt. So, with that being a fact, the king understood certain things. In verse 9, and he said to his people, behold, the children of Israel are more mightier than we. I'm back in Exodus chapter 1, verse 9. Now, verse 10. Because of fear and the assumptions of what the king thought the children of Israel would do, this is what he said. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they're falling out any wars, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out the land. That whole verse right there was an assumption of what the children of Israel would do in Egypt. Even though the children of Israel was building in Egypt, even though the children of Israel was living in Egypt for almost 230 years, free, without being enslaved. They was living in Egypt free, having a prosperous life. Because the assumptions of the Egyptian king, he made a bad decision. And he made that decision based off of fear. He made that decision based off of fear. It's like now, when you look at the United States of America, right? Every decision that the United States government do towards the black people or Hebrew people, it is all based off of fear. They're not going to give us they're not going to give us any reparations. They're not going to give us no hate crime bill law. They're not going to do anything for us because they fear us. Because they know that we are mightier and stronger than they are. So they're not going to give us anything that will benefit us. But they also afraid that we may come against them and join up with their enemies against them. That's why they're not giving us anything. Even though when we go to war, you got some Hebrew brothers in the military. You can go back to the Buffalo Soldiers running the $5 Indians out of the Americas. You can go back to that time period where the Buffalo, which are the native people of the Americas, running the $5 Indians out of the Americas down into Mexico. We have been here from that time period and farther back, and we have sided with this government for this long period of time, and they still have this thought process that they're not going to do anything for us because of their assumption in verse 10. And their assumption is all based off of fear. Let us look at it. It says, come on, let us deal wisely with them. At least they multiply and they come to pass that when they're falling out any war, even though we're in the military now fighting with the United States of America, that in the back of their minds, they still saying that we can't even trust the people in our military because we think that they're going to come against us. Falling out any war, they join also unto our enemies. That's that is something that you really have to think about. Do the United States really think that we would join up against somebody else to come against the United States? Even though we have been treated the way we have been treated, even though we have been experimented on, even though we have been put in slavery, even though we still get shot and killed in the streets, even though we are everything, uneducated, they put us in the penal system, even though they still have that, they have done all this to us. Do they really think that we're going to go join up against somebody else to help them fight against the Americans when we're in our own homeland? But that is the thought process of Pharaoh. That is the thought process of the United States. So now when we're looking at the thought process of Pharaoh and the United States, it's all based off assumptions and fears. It's not based off of facts. Because if you look at the facts, no Hebrew person or black American person have went in and killed and shot and killed any large number of European people in the Americas. We have not went in there and tried to storm the Capitol and bring down the state capitol. We have just tried to be like in verse 7. The children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. That's all we have tried to do, is live peacefully among ourselves and just let us live and do what we want to do. We have never tried to come against this government in the manner in which they have had the assumption that we was going to do. We have never done it. But their decision making is all based off of assuming that we're going to do something that we're not. So now, when you start to assume, and that assumption brings on an emotion, it causes you to act in ways that could be death upon you and your own nation of people. And I want you to understand, and this is for me too, when we base our decision when we make a decision based off of fear, it's a bad decision. Because we don't have no proof. That's the reality. We don't have no proof that that's the reality. We're basing everything off of what we think it is and not what we know it is. And that's something we got to deal with as Hebrew people. We are very fearful people. We are in this point in time, black Americans are very fearful, cowardly people. They are very scared to do whatever it is. They're scared to fight for whatever it is. We're very fearful people because we're going to assume that somebody's going to be better, or we're going to assume that this is going to happen, and we're going to assume that that's going to happen, but in actuality it may never happen. That's why I was talking about last week in the keys of success. You got to understand the keys of success. When it comes down to education, you got to study. When it comes down to war, you got to be in physical fit. And you got to study. But yes, you're going to be fearful because the fact is that you're unprepared in whatever situation it is. You're going to be very afraid. So let us look and see what Pharaoh did because of his assumptions and because of his fears. Verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Putums and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and the Egyptians was angry because of the children of Israel. Understand that. Right now, we have to look at, it says, the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And the Egyptians was grieved because of the children of Israel. That means that nothing was stopping the children of Israel from being prosperous in the moment of them going through whatever they was going through. Everything that Pharaoh threw at the children of Israel did not work. And it does not tell you that the children of Israel retaliated against the Egyptians. It does not tell you that the children of Israel was marching in the streets, burning up stuff. It tells you that, it didn't tell you that the children of Israel picked up weapons and went against the Egyptians. Even when you look at it today, even though we have a right, we have chosen to be nonviolent. We have a right for revenge if we wanted it. Black Americans or Hebrew Americans have a right to pick up a gun and want to take revenge if they wanted to because of everything that was done to them, done to us. We have a right to be angry. We have a right to feel however we choose to feel because what was done to us. But we have not retaliated. Even though the Egyptians still put these curses on us, even though the Egyptians still try to shoot us in the street, even though we can't even go into a Walmart and shop without somebody calling the police on us. We can't even go walking. We haven't retaliated. Because our assumption is that they're not trying to kill us. So we don't operate in a manner in which we should. We operate in another totally different thought process. Okay, in verse 13 it says, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with vigor, harshness, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in bricks, in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. Okay. All these action was done because of verse 10. Pharaoh assumed that the children of Israel will come against him. So he said, because I think the children of Israel are going to come against me and join with my enemies, I'm going to make their life a living hell. And his assumption was based off of fear. It wasn't based off of proof. It wasn't based off of facts. It wasn't based off experience. It wasn't based nothing off of what he thought the process would be, or what he thought they would do. Even though the children of Israel had been living in Egypt for 230 years. Since the encounter of the Europeans here in Turtle Island, the Americas, it has been holy hell for the native people, or the indigenous people. But they still haven't wanted to retaliate against these people. They just been saying, just leave me alone and let me live my life. That's how the indigenous people wanted to do, which are the native black people. All the African American people of today, the true African American people of today that's here, this is your homeland. You didn't come from Africa. A small portion of black people came from Africa. This is your homeland. You didn't come from Africa. You came here. But you still in your own homeland. You're a POW. You're a prisoner of war. And you saying, let me just have my peace, man. Leave me alone. Let me show you something what Adam did in 3 and 11. Because the decision, what Adam did in 3 and 10 in Genesis. Okay, I'm going to go to verse 9. It says, in Genesis 3, 9, 10, and 11, it says, and Yahuwah called unto Adam, and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. Adam hid himself because he was afraid that the Most High would do something to him. That was all based on assumptions. He didn't know what the Most High was going to do to him. Adam know he just made a decision to do something because what he was assuming something was going to be done to him. He don't even know what had been done to him. What was going to be done to him. He don't even know. He was assuming. When they say when you assume, you make a butthole out yourself. Not knowing actually what's going to actually happen. But when you assume, you don't even know what the reality is, but you make choices based on what you're thinking and not having proof. And verse 12 and verse 11, and he said, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I command thee that yet thou shalt not? Thou should not eat? So him and the Most High had a conversation. Adam was still assuming what the Most High was going to do to him. That's why he did something. He ran and hid because he was afraid of whatever he thought was going to happen. He don't even know what was going to happen. Let's go back to Exodus. Chapter 1, verse 15. I may mispronounce these names, so don't get too hard on me, okay? Now, because the king, the Pharaoh, he was assuming that the children, all this came All this punishment came on the children of Israel because of an assumption that the king thought the children of Israel was going to do to the Egyptians. Even though the children of Israel was in Egypt living, even though they helped fight with the Egyptians in several wars, the Egyptians still had a process or thought process that, hey, these people still may come against me. So let me do this to these people and let me do that to these people. Let me do this to these people because of what I think they're going to do to me. Not even knowing the true reality of it. And that's what we do in life. Our actions is 75% is based on an assumption and not reality. What we think is somebody gonna do when we really don't know what they're gonna do. And when we do that, let me go ahead. Let me finish. Verse 15, the kings of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Sepharet. I don't know how to pronounce it. And the name of the other one was Puh. Okay. So what Pharaoh said when he went to the midwives, the Hebrew midwives. Now listen to it. He was having a conversation with them. So Pharaoh went to our doctors, and he went to our nurses and our physicians. This is what he said. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife of the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stool, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. So now, Pharaoh went to the Hebrew midwives and told them, kill all the male child that is be born. Pharaoh went to the government went to the physicians and said if they got high blood pressure, get them some medication where they'll be sterile. Pharaoh went to all the doctors and the physicians and said, hey, I need you to make these people take this because I need to get rid of some people because of depopulation, because of Agenda 21, because of Agenda 30, because it's just too many people on the planet, because of Bill Gates' eugenic program. I need you to get rid of some people, Hebrew physicians.
Tell them to stay on it for the rest of their life.
And Pharaoh made all these decisions based off an assumption that the children of Israel would come against him. I want you to understand that. Look at the detrimental decision that he made and what he brought to himself and his nation because of an assumption and fear. You can destroy a whole family based off of fear. You can destroy a whole nation of people based off of fear. But if you understand the keys to success, you will not have fear. You will have facts. You will have proof. You have evidence of what would be successful and what would not be successful. If Pharaoh wanted to be a great nation, he would have used those people as a very powerful instrument to help his country be successful. But he felt like they were separate from him. He felt like they were disconnected from him. He felt like they would not take on whatever it is He saw them indifferent from the Egyptians, so he wanted to kill them off. That is genocide. My wife came to me and told me this week that some of the people who have made bad decisions do not even have a head on the sperm to be able to help his wife become pregnant. Right? Mm-hmm. That means that some people who made bad decisions in the last 2 or 3 years cannot even reproduce because the thing that they made, the things that they did attack the reproductive system. The sperm cell count is very low, where they can't even reproduce. Because of a bad decision they made because of an assumption and fear. Some people's lives are destroyed because of an assumption and fear. And I make decisions too. But what I'm coming to understand about life, we got to deal with the facts. That's why it says in 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Let me read that. That's why it says in 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Study to show thyself approved unto El, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. The word of truth is not just basically the Bible. It's in any sector or field that you're in. What's facts? What's truth? What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? So that you can make a right decision and live out that decision. Back to Exodus. But you had some physicians to say no, you had some to say, yeah, Pharaoh, I'm going to do what you say do because I'm going to ride or die with you. And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come into the room. She said they already know had the baby before we can even get a chance to come in there and take care of the baby. That shows you the power of the women. I just showed you the power and the strength of the men of the Hebrews. It just tells you how strong the women are. But nowadays, it's man against woman in households. Black relationships, Black American relationships are very toxic right now. Because they're listening to Pharaoh. They're listening to everything that the people tell them. Black relationships are very toxic right now. Black men don't want to date black women don't want to date black men. But it's all been set up for us to be able to destroy ourselves, even though we're the strongest people on the earth. They don't want to see no Hebrew family together. Verse 20. Therefore El dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared El, that he made them houses. Listen to that when you be obedient. Listen to that when you don't fear but you love. Listen to that. When you don't have no fear of Pharaoh, but you love the Most High and you do what he say do, the Most High will bless you. Verse 21. And it came to pass because the midwife feared El. Let's go to Psalms 119. And 20. 120. 119 verse 120. Listen to this. My fear trembles for fear of Yahuwah. I am afraid of thy judgments. I have done judgment and justice. Leave me not to my oppressor. Be surety for thy servants for good. Let not the proud oppress me. My eyes fail for thy salvation and for the word of thy righteousness. Job 25. Job 25 and 15. Because you got to understand something. Hold on, let me go back. Hold on for just a second. Hold on just 1 second. Hold on just 1 second. I'm finna get to it. Oh, Job 23. Job 23 and 15. Go to verse 14 first. Job 23, 14 and 15. For he performeth the things that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore am I troubled at his presence. When I consider, I am afraid of him. For El maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubles me. Because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither has he covered the darkness from my face. Listen to that. Therefore am I troubled at his presence. When I consider, I am afraid of him. When you fear the Most High, you do what the Most High tell you to do. Let me say something to you. Matthew chapter 10. This what Pharaoh should have been. This what Pharaoh should have took heed to. Matthew chapter 10 verses 27 and 28. Matthew chapter 10 verse 27 28. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetop. It says, and fear not that which kills the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. So what it's basically telling you is, don't fear no man who can just only kill the body. You fear the Most High, who can kill the body and the soul. If Pharaoh had that thought process, he wouldn't have never made the decisions he made. He would have never cared about what he thought man was gonna do. He would have just did the right thing. And that's the thing about us in life right now, is that we fear what man gonna try to do to us instead of doing the right thing. Because in John, let's go to John 14. Because we fear what man gonna do to us. Whether we fear that man gonna try to get over on us, we fear that man gonna do this to us, we fear that man gonna do that to us. So what we do, we assume that he's gonna try to do something to us that may damage us. So what we do, we make decisions based off of what we think man gonna do to us, and not just doing what's right. And see, John 14 and 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments. Regardless of what happens in situations in life, if we're doing the right thing, the Most High will protect us from all evil that is around us.
Amen. Yes.
So sometimes when I look at and see, I'm looking at things from a totally different perspective, because everybody ain't sick. Everybody didn't die. Even when somebody made the bad decision, they were protected because they might have took something else other than what it was supposed to be. Because those people trusted in the Most High at the time. He knew his faithful servant. He knew those who feared him but wanted to do what they had to do, and he understood it. And so the Most High showed me that. He showed me those people who had really and truly a good heart for the people. And they just made a bad decision. So he gave them grace, which is unmerited favor, something that they didn't even deserve. He gave it to them just because who they were and who he is. If we had that thought process of just loving them on the Most High, and we make the decision based off righteousness, the commandments will be kept. Let us go back to Exodus chapter 1. Understanding that we're dealing with Pharaoh, the American government, and every decision they made was based off an assumption and fear. And when they made those decisions based off assumptions and fear, they just didn't make people do hard labor. Like, look at us, we do hard labor. They didn't just decide to try to tell the midwives to commit genocide, which is our physicians to commit genocide against our male patients, their male patients, by giving them medication that would stop them to reproduce. He also did this. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the rivers, and every daughter ye shall save alive. So what Okay. Let me do something real fast. When it says, and Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every soul that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Understanding that the genetics, everything about the child comes from the father. Because the sperms that goes into the egg, it gives that egg life, and that's what gives that child everything. It comes from the child characteristic comes from the father. So when you see that child, you see that child's father characteristics in the child. It may have some, it's going to have some makeup of the mother, but the most dominant is going to be from the father. So when you understand the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 brothers and how strong and powerful they were, Pharaoh killed those babies because the simple fact is he was killing off the bloodline. He was killing off the strength. He was killing off the power that was coming from those 12 tribes. And Pharaoh knew what he was doing because he didn't want to have any competition. Pharaoh didn't want to have no competition. So this statistic say that the black U.S. residents were incarcerated at a 3.5 times the rate of white U.S. residents. At mid-year 2020, the marked a decrease from mid-year from 2010 when the rates for black residents was 4.5 times of white residents. What it's basically saying is that African American people are incarcerated at a higher rate than our counterparts. And we are sentenced to a higher rate between the ages of 18 to the age of 34. Why? Because that is the prime growth period for men or for people, especially men. So if Pharaoh can have you incarcerated and have you in jail, he's killing off the power and the essence of the male child. Because he's thinking that that male child is going to come against him and join in with the enemies. That's why they have that prison pipeline mentality, because he understands the power of the male child. He understands the abilities that the power that the man have in his household. He understands that if it's more male teachers in schools, the male students will be better students. And it ain't got nothing to do with the women's abilities. But we all have different abilities. Women is supposed to love and nurture. Men is supposed to provide, protect, and bring discipline. And that's something he understands. So he killed off the male child because he was assuming something would happen to him, and it never happened. Now what you see in our society today is because of Galatians. Let's go to Galatians chapter 6. I'm going to read 1 through 9 and I'm done. It says, Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. He said, when you see a man jacked up, just talk to him and let him know you wrong, man. Don't go out there and try to physically beat him up. Just pull a coattail. Say, hey, man, what you doing it wrong. You know that. Then it says, bear ye one another burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Paul is saying, pull a coattail and understand his problems. Understand what he's going through. Understand whatever it is. That's what the Egyptians should have been able to say. Man, listen, I know y'all over here working, doing good, man. Let's build a coalition. Let's work together. Your problem, my problem, your problem. Let's build a cohesion together and let's do it. Even in America today, America should be saying to the African American people, hey, your problems are my problems and my problems are your problems. Let's work together to get things done together. But they didn't do that. They said, we're not going to give you reparations even though we enslaved you. And it says, for if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. That's what Pharaoh did. Pharaoh deceived himself, thinking he was all this, that, and the other, and he ain't nothing. But let every man prove his own works. Then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burdens. Listen to that. Not just every man, every nation. Pharaoh had to carry that burden that he did. The United States got to carry this burden that she did. She don't want to give us reparation because it was shown that she made some mistakes in the past and everybody knows it. It says, let him that is taught in the words communicate unto him that teach in all good things. Listen to this. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh, which is destruction, shall the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not be weary in well doing. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. He was assuming fear, so he was doing things out of the physical and not out of the spiritual. United States doing things out of the physical and not out of the spiritual, and not looking at us as a creation of the Most High. They're worried about whatever it is. They're acting like a beast. Because if you was a child of the Most High, it says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. He would have said, okay, if I'm doing good by these people, I know they're going to be on my side. I know they're going to do the right thing. I know this about them. Because the heir that I serve is going to protect me from them. And that's our thought process have to be. Whoever we deal with, whatever we decide to do the right thing, because the simple fact is the Most High going to take care of them.
That's right.
Look at the United States today. We may be destroyed in a couple of months. Because of what the United States did, they saw us as an enemy and not as a friend, not as a brother. People destroy their houses because they look at their husband or their wives as an enemy and not as a loved one. As we have therefore opportunities, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. How can you come against your own citizens and expect good things to come? I'm done. Now let's go to Mark 3. Mark 3. Mark 3 and 24 and 25. Listen to this. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. If Satan is raised up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but has an end. Understanding that if you have division in the kingdom cannot stand. That's why Egypt fell. That's why the United States is falling. Killing its own citizens. Misleading its own citizens. Destroying its own citizens. Because of an assumption and a fact of something that's not even true. They're assuming something that may not ever happen. That's what goes on in households. That's what goes on in relationships. But if you just love the Most High and do His will, believe me and you, I see people who are protected. You trying to do something that is out of your will and purpose, and you basically destroying your relationship. You're destroying whatever it is. The United States has destroyed everything about the United States because of the assumption and the fear. So that's it. Let me pray so we can go. Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we thank you for everything that you're doing and how you're doing it. Abba, we just ask that you continue to let your will be done. Abba, we just ask that you continue to protect us and lead us and guide us. Abba, we ask that you continue to let us hear the way you want us to hear, see the way you want us to see, speak the way you want us to speak. Abba, we just ask that you just continue to protect us as we travel these highways and byways, protect our offsprings. But at the end of the day, Abba, let your will be done. And all these things we pray in your higher name, so let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Y'all have a great one.
Yeah. Hear me out. Black man, black woman, know that you are heaven sent. God blessed you with melanin. That's quite an embellishment. Every time I look at you, I see excellence. Praise the higher for being such a perfectionist. You've been told your whole life that you were ugly, huh? By the ugly ones, they just jealous, pissed cause they ain't got your genetics. They spend thousands to have your features and they still look pathetic. Damn. In every black neighborhood there's a liquor store. I wonder who put them there and what they did it for. They know that alcohol is detrimental to your body. Once consumed, it destroys your mental. They want for you to indulge in these substances, and by they, I'm referring to your government. Now we take the word government, you will find that government means control and it means the mind. They want us to operate in our lowest nature. They were successful, but God sent me to elevate you. I just want us to get back to what we used to be. Kings and queens, know that you are royalty. You claim to be African, you claim to be Indian. None of that really matters, cause all of us are indigenous. Know your worth. You the salt of the earth, but somewhere in time we lost our flavor. Disconnected from nature and all the aspects of it. It's been demonized, and we've been programmed to believe that I broke away from religion. And I'm so glad that I did it, cause shortly after that's when I started to realize that this guy we've been seeking out the whole time is dwelling deep on the inside of each and every one of our temples. I meant bodies. You no longer need to see the truth because I just dropped it. Real talk. Now this is where I step away, take a break, find a quiet place to meditate, relax my flesh as my mind begins to elevate, raising my consciousness to a higher state, creating true equilibrium, synchronizing the two left and right hemisphere of my encephalon. The work is done, I'm illuminated, now carry on. Look,